Welcome to Innovation Pulse, your quick, no-nonsense update on the latest in clean tech and EVs. First, we will cover the latest news. In the UK, Tesla's sales dropped as BYD surged, and in the US, solid-state EV battery startups are advancing despite political hurdles. After this, we'll dive deep into the complexities of corporate climate action and the phenomenon of green hushing. Stay tuned. Let's now turn our attention to the EV sales race. Tesla's sales in the UK have decreased by 19% in November, falling from 4,680 in 2024 to 3,784 in 2025. Despite still leading the UK's EV market, Tesla's share has dropped from 11.9% to 9.4%. Meanwhile, BYD's sales have surged, more than tripling year over year, increasing its market share from 2.4% to 7.8%. This significant growth suggests BYD might overtake Tesla in the UK by 2026, a scenario that seemed unlikely just a year ago. Ford also increased its market share from 5.3% to 7.8% in November, pointing towards a potential EV sales race between Tesla, BYD, and Ford in the UK. Past trends show Tesla's market share fluctuating throughout the year, with higher deliveries often seen at quarter ends. The coming months will provide more insight into these shifting dynamics. The US solid-state EV battery sector is advancing despite political challenges. President Trump's rollback of CAFE standards and the removal of a federal EV tax credit have hit US EV sales, contrasting with growth in Europe. Nonetheless, US startups like Factorial Energy, Solid Power, and QuantumScape are making strides. Factorial's semi-solid-state battery has garnered interest from major automakers, while Solid Power collaborates with BMW and QuantumScape partners with Volkswagen. Collaborations aim to improve battery technology, focusing on cost, range, and safety. Factorial's partnership with POSCO highlights efforts to create a global supply chain. Meanwhile, research at Argonne National Laboratory is exploring lithium metal electrodes for higher energy density. Despite current US policy hurdles, these innovations may still shape the future of EVs globally, especially in Europe. And now, pivot our discussion towards the main clean tech topic.
Welcome to Innovation Pulse. I'm Donna, and today I've got Yakov Lasker with me, tech leader, author, and someone who's spent way too much time reading corporate sustainability reports.
Guilty as charged. And Donna, I've got to start with something that happened in October that barely made headlines, but tells us everything about where corporate climate action is headed.
Hit me!
The Net Zero Banking Alliance. Nearly 150 banks committed to limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees, voted to disband entirely. Just dissolved. Poof.
Wait, 150 banks? That's not some fringe group.
Exactly. These were major institutions. And the timing seems obvious, right? Trump takes office, starts his drill speeches, attacks woke companies, and suddenly the alliance crumbles. Clean narrative.
Except you're about to tell me it's not that simple.
The alliance started losing its biggest members in early January, yes. But here's the thing. Companies have been getting quieter about climate pledges since 2022. This trend even has a name. Green hushing.
Green hushing. So like greenwashing, but in reverse?
Kind of. Instead of exaggerating environmental credentials, companies are deliberately downplaying or hiding them. A Swiss consultancy called South Pole identified this back in 2022. They found a quarter of companies were setting science-based emission reduction targets but planning to keep completely silent about them.
Okay, but that's still weird. Why would you do the work and not take credit for it?
This is where it gets fascinating. By early 2024, and remember, this is a full year before Trump's inauguration, South Pole found nearly half of companies struggling to communicate their climate pledges. And the reason wasn't politics.
What was it?
They're trapped. Companies can be sued for saying too little about climate risks, and they can be sued for saying too much. It's a legal minefield.
Hold on, sued for saying too little?
Yeah. Investors and regulators want climate risk disclosures. If you don't provide them, that's a problem. But if you make claims you can't back up with hard data, you're greenwashing, and you'll get hammered for that too.
So damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. And it's not just federal policy. You've got 50 different US states pulling in different directions. Texas is passing anti-ESG bills. California is requiring more disclosure. Then Europe has the Green Transition Directive coming in with anti-greenwashing provisions and mandatory sustainability labeling.
Okay, so companies are drowning in compliance headaches. But surely Trump's policies are making this worse.
Oh, they're definitely a factor. Joshua Hilton, he's a professor who studies this, says federal policy flipped remarkably quickly from pro-ESG to anti-ESG. That whiplash matters. But here's what blew my mind.
What?
Harvard researchers looked at 75 top global firms before and after the election. Guess how many scaled back their sustainability efforts?
I'm thinking maybe a third, 30-ish%.
13%.
No way.
And 32%, nearly a third, actually accelerated their green initiatives after Trump took office.
Wait, that's the opposite of what everyone's saying. The headlines are all about companies abandoning climate pledges.
I know. PwC found similar numbers. More small companies are making climate pledges, and companies are maintaining their sustainability policies even after CEO changes. The researchers say this shows it's becoming a permanent fixture, not a political trend.
Okay, so if companies are actually doubling down, where does this green hushing idea come from? Is it just media hype?
No, it's real, but it's specific. Researchers at the University of Portsmouth looked at hundreds of hotels and hospitality businesses, found that green hushing was rife, but when they dug deeper, the main driver was fear.
Fear of what?
Being publicly accused of greenwashing. These managers think sustainability is important. They're doing the work, but they're terrified of getting the details wrong in public communications.
Give me an example.
Okay, say you're a hotel manager, you've got solar panels, you're doing great things. But can you quantify exactly what percentage of your energy comes from those panels? Do you have real-time data? If you can't back up every claim with numbers, you're thinking, maybe I just don't say anything.
That's paranoia though, right? Just do your best.
Is it paranoia if people are actually coming after you? AMD, the chip maker, they were highlighting their membership in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. Then they got hammered for the environmental impact of a new campus in Texas, and they went completely silent on sustainability for a while.
Oh, so it's tactical silence?
Right. And here's the thing. AMD came back after the controversy died down, and they made more concrete renewable energy pledges. They started talking about the index again. So green hushing can be temporary, strategic.
But here's what I don't get. If half the companies are expanding their green policies and this is becoming permanent, why does it feel like we're going backwards?
Because we might actually be going forwards, just in a less flashy way. The New Climate Institute, they analyzed 70 major companies, found something really interesting. Companies are retracting their carbon neutrality claims. Yes, but they're replacing them with actual emission reduction targets.
What's the difference?
Huge difference. Carbon neutrality often meant buying offsets, basically paying someone else to plant trees or preserve forests while you keep emitting. It's like saying, I'm going to keep eating cheeseburgers, but I'll pay someone else to go to the gym for me.
Ha! Okay, that's a terrible deal.
Exactly. So now companies are shifting to actually reducing their own emissions. Less sexy marketing, more substantial action. Thomas Day from New Climate says the whole green hushing debate might be a red herring. Companies are just getting more realistic about what they can actually deliver.
So when we see companies going quiet, it might actually be maturity?
That's one way to read it. South Pole's Nadia Kekkonen says increased scrutiny has pushed companies to be more evidence-based in their claims, which is positive. But she worries the pendulum has swung too far, and some companies are choosing silence when transparency would be better.
This is making my head spin. So we've got companies expanding sustainability efforts but talking about them less. We've got regulatory chaos. We've got political pressure. We've got lawsuit fears.
And we've got about half of financial companies planning to actually increase their communications about net zero strategies.
What? I thought they were all going quiet.
That's what South Pole found in their latest report. It's not a universal trend. It's fragmented. Some companies are pulling back on communications, others are ramping up. And this fragmentation makes it really hard to read what's actually happening.
Okay, so practical question. I'm reading a company's annual report or their website. How do I know if they're greenhushing, greenwashing, or actually doing the work?
Look for specifics. Are they giving you actual emission reduction numbers with timelines? Are they talking about Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, meaning their direct emissions, their energy use, and their supply chain?
Most people don't know what those mean.
Fair. Simpler version. Are they saying we're committed to sustainability? Or are they saying we reduced emissions by 23% in our operations and 15% in our supply chain between 2020 and 2024? One is marketing fluff. One is data.
And if they're saying nothing at all?
Then you have to ask why. It could be they're not doing anything. It could be they're terrified of lawsuits. It could be they're in the middle of a strategic shift. That's the frustrating part. Silence is ambiguous.
What about the political angle? You said Trump's policies matter, but aren't the whole story. How much do they actually matter?
They matter for U.S. companies navigating federal contracts and regulatory environments. But remember, sustainability pressure isn't just coming from Washington. It's coming from investors, customers, employees, and international markets. European regulations don't care what Trump says.
So companies operating globally can't just follow U.S. political winds.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. The COP26 summit in Glasgow in 2021 created this huge momentum around corporate climate pledges. Experts say we're seeing some of that buzz fade, but the commitments made during that period are still baked into corporate strategies.
It's like the hangover from a party where everyone made promises.
Sort of. Except some people are actually keeping those promises. They're just not posting about it on Instagram anymore.
Okay, so if I'm running a business and I genuinely want to do the right thing on climate, what's the move? Talk about it or stay quiet?
The consensus seems to be do the work, measure it rigorously, communicate it clearly with data, and don't make claims you can't defend. South Pole warns that greenhushing undermines trust and transparency. If everyone stays quiet, we can't track collective progress.
But if you're not confident in your data yet,
Then get confident in your data. That's part of the work. You can't manage what you don't measure.
here's what strikes me about this whole thing. We started with this story about a banking alliance dissolving, and it seemed like this big defeat for climate action. But actually, the reality is way more complex and maybe more hopeful.
Maybe. I think what we're seeing is a shakeout. The easy marketing wins are over. Companies that were just virtue, signaling are getting exposed. But companies that are serious about this are embedding it into operations, even if they're not shouting about it.
So next time I see a headline about companies abandoning climate pledges,
Dig deeper. Look at what they're actually doing, not just what they're saying. And remember, sometimes the quietest companies are the ones doing the most serious work because they're too busy measuring and implementing to worry about press releases.
Yakov, this has been illuminating. Where can people follow your work?
I write about technology, leadership, and occasionally dive into these kinds of policy rabbit holes. But honestly, the best thing listeners can do is start asking companies they care about for actual data. Don't accept vague sustainability language, demand numbers.
Love it. Thanks for breaking this down.
Always a pleasure, Donna.
That's it for today's Innovation Pulse. Next time you see a company's sustainability report or notice they don't have one, you'll know what questions to ask.
That's a wrap for today's podcast. We've explored Tesla's challenges and BYD's rise in the UK EV market and delved into corporate climate action complexities, highlighting the need for clear sustainability data. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends and colleagues so they can also stay updated on the latest news and gain powerful insights. Stay tuned for more updates.